Oh, let me draw the curtains. That's better.
All right, redirecting to Facebook Live page.
Sounds so official.
No, right. All right, so hello and welcome everyone to the summer series of interviews with Soulful Women. I'm Krysti Turznik, an international speaker, author, a hypnotist, and spiritual mindset life coach, helping high-achieving women who are burning the candle at both ends, feeling mentally drained, physically exhausted, and spiritually depleted to stop needing to escape from life so every day can feel like a day at the beach. And today's topic is going to be so on point with exactly what we try to do in our shifts and strategies for the Soulful Woman group. Now, this is the place to be if you want to discover how to be, feel, and live your life as it's having so much more meaning and value, because this summer series will help you to take your life to the next level as leading experts and influencers share their secrets for living an inspired and soulful life. Now, today with me, I'm so excited for this conversation, is Sarah Ross. Sarah Ross is the UK's #1 burnout expert. She is an award-winning international speaker, executive coach, mentor, and best-selling author who uses her own experiences with burnout and depression to help others avoid the dark place that she found herself in. She founded Your Reason to Breathe as a way to show those burning out at work that there are steps that can help you to turn the dark and depressing into an empowered and fulfilling life. She mentors executives and entrepreneurs on how to reset, recharge, and thrive after burnout using her signature models, Breathe and Priority Happy. So welcome, Sarah. I'm so happy to talk with you today.
Hi, Krysti. Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. So our topic today is how to breathe through burnout. And this is such an important topic that we're going to be talking about today, because as you know, so many women are experiencing this exact same thing right now. You know, they're trying to juggle work and home life. And now with everything that the world is giving us, a whole heap of extra tasks and duties. So let's start with the basics. Like, what exactly is burnout?
So about 15 months ago, the World Health Organization actually defined burnout, and that it was feelings of energy depletion or exhaustion, increased mental distance from one's job, or feelings of negativism or cynicism related to one's job, and a reduced professional efficacy. So basically, you're exhausted, you don't like your job, and you're not doing it very well because you're exhausted and don't like your job.
Yeah.
That's the rough translation. It was the first time that it was officially named as it's called a medical phenomenon rather than a condition, but it was actually acknowledged by them that something that more and more people are suffering from. And so what is it? It is that point at which you just don't feel like you can go on. We all have stress, and you mentioned it as we go through, lockdown, and people are now experiencing everything they used to experience in the world. Suddenly the world has become where they live. So, if you were used to you only saw your kids or your spouse or your boyfriend in the morning and in the evening, and now suddenly it's 24/7, that's a whole additional stress on top of homeschooling, cooking, cleaning, all the things that you would normally have done. And so we are seeing a lot of people. In fact, the numbers have jumped from about 2/3 of people experiencing sort of stressful conditions to about 3/4, just in the time that we've had COVID-19 in the world.
Wow. Yeah, because it's really like we're dealing with our own burnout, and also we're having to deal with the effects of the people that are in the house with us and their burnout as well, and everything that they're dealing with.
And remember that, here in the UK, lockdown was incredibly severe. Like, we could go out for like 30 minutes a day and that was it. But what if, one of you in the household was a fitness, junkie whose key de-stressor was to go out for a 10K run or a 10-mile run. And it's like they suddenly can't do that because of the restrictions placed on them. So, just having to adjust our lifestyles, but also how do we deal with stress when we don't have all the options available to us?
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, how do you know if you're burning out? Like, are there telltale signs or symptoms that are common amongst people?
So when I went through mine, I didn't know I was burnt out until a doctor told me I was. But when I as I started to heal from mine and started to look at what was going on in my life, there were actually 15 different things going on. And when you look at each one individually, they're like, well, yeah, so I'm drinking more coffee than normal. Like, doesn't mean I'm burnt out, it just means I'm tired, or I, didn't grab breakfast this morning, or, oh, I haven't been to the gym in a while because I just don't have time, or I'm too tired. Down to, are you socially isolating? And that's more difficult to see when we're in lockdown or, quarantine, because we're being told to. But is your general feeling about being around people that you don't want to engage? So for me, that was probably one of the key ones. Now, if I take my label, I'm an introvert. So I recharge best on my own, not around people. And I find that tiring. But when every invitation to dinner, the cinema, you say no to, that's because you don't want to be around people. And it may not just be because you naturally recharge best on your own, but you are avoiding the situations where somebody could see that something is wrong.
Yeah. And so would it be fair then to say that, like, if you compare like your behavior now to how you were, 5 years ago, like, is that a valid comparison of, just based on who you are and how you have acted, like your tendencies, your behaviors? Is that realistic?
Yeah. So we put together a quiz called Are You Burning Out? And it's based on my journey and some of my clients and research. And I probably had 14 of these, 14 out of 15 when I was like at the height of being, burnt out, suicidal, depressed. I had them all, 14. And the only reason it's 14 out of 15 is because I didn't know what number 15 was.
Yeah. Sure.
But then as as we progressed it, you kind of go, actually, there is another one. And you see it, other people talk about it and you're like, yeah, I had that to-do list that never got shorter, no matter what I did. And that's another sign. If you are chasing the end of that to-do list or the inbox zero, and it is the priority in your life, then you are at risk of burnout.
Yeah. One thing that I found too is with the clients that I'm working with is really if they are just trying to get through the day, like just checking everything off of that to-do list, like you were saying, without really engaging, without having that life, like that, that excitement or that joy, that's a really key indicator that something somewhere is significantly off in your life.
And I think one of the main differences that I noticed was when I went from, I was chronically stressed. I had a stressful job, it was all the time. And it went from, if I just take the laptop home at the weekend, I'll be ahead on Monday. A couple of hours on Saturday and I'll be ahead. Well, by the time you got in on Monday, there was, you were behind again. But when I stopped caring about what it was on Monday, that's when I was burnt out. It's this, when you're chronically stressed, you still want to achieve something. When you are no longer bothered about achieving, that's when you've gone into that burnout, because there's just nothing left to give anymore.
Yeah, almost like we numb, right? Like we numb out, we like zone out, we binge watch, the Netflix, or we overindulge in the food or the wine or the sex or whatever it might be, like just some escape method.
Yeah.
And so, like you've said before, that your smile can help you to manage stress. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So let's go back to when we were all cavemen, running, hunter-gatherers, running around. Our body's genetics have not changed since those days. So we still have that fight or flight response. But our genetics put that together when we had to get away from a tiger or, a woolly mammoth. And it was supposed to last for like maybe 5 minutes or however long it would take you to run away and climb a tree or get safe. And it's the body's natural response to, am I safe? And can I get safe? So you get that burst of adrenaline so that you could run faster than the tiger, and then you get safe and your body then de-stresses because you are safe. But as we've progressed that to where we are now, we are living off that response in terms of a marathon rather than a sprint. So we never have those periods where we're not in that stressful situation. Now, the problem with fight or flight, or this actual hormonal change, so the production of adrenaline and cortisol, is it stops other hormones being produced. So imagine it like an online delivery of groceries, and they bring you the ingredients for one cake. You need the same ingredients to make stress cake as you do to make happy smiley cake. Yeah. But you can't make both. And once you are in that chronic stress, your body is naturally always going to go and make stress cake. But by doing so, it is depleting the body of what it needs to heal properly, to rest properly, because you are constantly firing on the, am I safe? Can I get safe? But what smiling, laughing movement allows us to do is override that by allowing the body's happy hormones. So we've heard them: oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin, endorphins. They can break that stress cycle and allow the body to then actually produce the hormones that it needs to have that happy reaction, which is then when we can heal and rest and even digest our food properly. All those things come when we were in a happier state than if we're in that fighting flight state. And so what we say about how smiling can help your stress is actually all it takes is 30 seconds. Think of something happy. Do something that makes you happier. If you've got a mobile phone, get a playlist of music that makes you want to get up and dance. Get some YouTube videos that make you, those ones that make your cheeks hurt because you are laughing so hard. Yep. Those are the ones you want to have on a playlist for those moments when you just need a reset and say, okay, I'm so stressed. I'm just going to take 2 minutes, watch this video, and guaranteed you will feel better after it. You'll also notice that the brain fog dissipates. You are in a better place and probably more productive by actually having taken a break than just trying to plow through.
I love this because it's really about returning the body back to that relaxation response so that it can do what it needs to do and, reset itself so it can recharge. And like you said, just repair itself so that you can continue to deal with all of the stresses of daily life. And I love that you say, it only takes 30 seconds, so it's something that we can all do. We just have to give ourselves that permission to take that time to do that. And also too, you had said get that playlist in advance, anticipating that there's going to come a point where you're feeling off, where you're just feeling so overwhelmed, and to do that in anticipation of that event. That's really a beautiful gift that you're inviting people to offer to themselves, because it's a way that you can nurture, what's going on.
Yeah. So ladies, it's the same as popping your hairbrush in your purse or having a couple of Tylenol in case you have a headache. It's all these little things that you can just make sure that ahead of time, should you need it, you have it. And it really is, when you are in a good place, sit down and think about what it is that makes you happy. And consider things that you may have stopped doing as you've grown up. So I was a bookworm as a kid. I had books everywhere. I was one of those children that if you said pack for the holiday, the books went into the suitcase first. And then if there was room for clothes, then they would go into the suitcase too. But as I went through, heavier work schedule, getting stressed, I was traveling all over the world with my job. I never picked up a book. I used to pick up books in the airport, take a picture of them and go, oh, I must read that. But I would never buy a book. I never had a book in my bag. And actually, it was what my coach got me to do the very first thing when I started my own healing journey from burnout. He was like, right, I want you to schedule reading every single day. And it started with a page. Yeah. It wasn't go and read Harry Potter tonight. It was literally read a page, and the next day read 2 pages. So you slowly build up that habit again. You get to read 5 minutes twice a day, until by the end of it, I think a couple of months later, if I didn't have my 15-20 minutes of reading, I would make sure that I did. Until now, I'm back to, I think there's probably 3 books by my bed now. There's a couple on my desk here. There's some downstairs in the lounge.
They're multiplying. I love that. And, one thing that struck me is that you had said schedule that, because we are so busy, like our schedule often rules our lives. Just a simple step like that, like it's so doable. It's something that we can all, schedule in 5 minutes of, that time just to do what we need to do. If it's reading a book, if it's just doing nothing but staring at the walls so we can relax ourselves and just breathe. That's really great advice.
And it's about making it non-negotiable. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people who get very stressed or start to burn out because they've forgotten that they are the non-negotiable piece. Mm-hmm. So if you find yourself canceling dinner plans, or I love the phrase that you guys have in America, I'll take a rain check. Yeah. If that's your answer for everything on your calendar or in your diary that is about you, then there's an imbalance. But if your boss called and said, can you write this report, and you would drop everything to do it, then it's time to start putting you back as a priority into your life and onto your calendar. Yeah. And, for some people, what will give them the most joy is maybe not something that they can do straight away. So I always use the example of scuba diving. There's not a lot of us have scuba diving on our doorstep. But that's not to say that you can't actually plan a trip. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So go and get some pictures about where you want to go. Decide which hotel you're going to stay at. How are you actually going to, get there? Where are you going to fly through? Plan the whole trip as if you were going to go, and then create a small vision board and put it on your phone. And for those 5 minutes that you put in your calendar for you, spend it with that vision board. Because there's actual scientific research that shows there is actually more benefit to planning and the expectation of going than actually going on the trip.
Isn't that amazing? So amazing, right?
And that is perfect for a lockdown period.
Yes.
Travel may not be available to most of us this year. It certainly may not be the whole world that is open to us, but why not plan next year?
Absolutely. Plan
your dream trips, get your pictures, and use those when you're feeling down or when the weather outside. I'm in the UK, it's quite often rainy outside. Yeah. So, to have a picture of, I really want to go to Jamaica, or I really want to go and visit my friends in Australia, to have those things that I can just pull up one picture or, an album of pictures, for instance, and just go on a little mini trip in my seat.
A mental vacation. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. My brain doesn't really know the difference between me visualizing it or me actually going. And so I still get the benefits. And to some extent, I don't have the jet lag. So, there's some positives in there too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so what I'm hearing really is it's about putting yourself back into the picture, like remembering that you have value, that you need to be making yourself a priority, returning to all of your passions so that you can remember the purpose of why you're here in this body on this earth, and return to that joy of living. And all of this stuff that you have shared, they're so simple, and yet they can be so profound, in the effects that they can have on your life. So as I see it, it will really help you to make that shift into greater ease and, greater personal fulfillment. So how can people get in touch with you if they want to, connect with you, if they want to learn more about how you work with people?
Yeah. So like we mentioned before, we have a quiz called Are You Burning Out? It's 15 questions, very much in the style of Cosmo. So it's just yes, no. You don't have to decide how, bad you are or good you are. But it's a great indicator for which areas of your life might need to be looked at to help you not burn out. You can find that at the website. It's yourreasontoBreathe.com/quiz. I do the quiz every couple of months, because I find it's just a good indicator for me about where I am. And it sometimes shows me, just do it. Don't think about the answers. Just what is the natural answer? And I do it and I'm like, oh yeah, I have stopped accepting invitations. Ooh, okay. And then I know what I can work on. Best place to find me is on Facebook, a Facebook page called Your Reason to Breathe, where we have more tips and insights into burnout and stress management. So yeah, come and find me on there. Drop me a message if you'd like to connect.
Oh, I love all that. And those links we'll post down in the comments below. So our ladies can, reach out to you anytime that they feel called. So thank you so much for joining us. This has been really fascinating and so beneficial for everyone who's dealing with this.
No, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And again, as a reminder, this is Krysti, just reminding you always to live every day like it's a day at the beach. You take care. Thanks for joining us.